Evening and welcome. My name is Damian Jackson. I'm the poll mark of the Philadelphia Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, and we are pleased to welcome you with us this evening for a power-packed webinar on fire safety, something that we all take for granted, unfortunately. Some of the past events that have been in the news have brought this back to the forefront, and hopefully we will impart some good information for everyone and everyone can take something out of this. Now, just to set the ground rules, our presenters this evening are here to talk about fire safety and things going forward. They're not here to talk about anything in the past, any investigations, anything that you might have seen in the news or anything else. So we would ask that you refrain from attempting to ask those type of questions. Okay, they have been at work all day today. Quite sure that they're tired and they're doing this out of the kindness and benevolence of their heart based on their own personal set of values, and also because our brother Nate Abney asked them to personally do it, and he has a relationship with all of them. So without further ado, Brother Abney, if you could just give us the background, the bios on our three presenters, and we can get started.
Okay. Good evening, brothers and family members and guests. All right. Our first presenter or panelist is Captain Derek Bowmer. He's an 18-year veteran of the Philadelphia Fire Department, and he's currently the department's executive chief and has spent time working in busy stations in West Philly, North Philly, and he's currently in the top 10 for the promotion list for battalion chief.
Top 5.
Top 5 now? I'm sorry. Any corrections from these bios? You can hold Lieutenant Abney responsible for it.
Hey, Brother Abney, he knows how to say my name is Bowmer, just for the collection.
Word.
Okay, I stand corrected. Secondly, we have Battalion Chief Lisa Forrest. She's an 18-year veteran of the Philadelphia Fire Department, and she's currently serving as the first African-American female battalion chief in the history of Philadelphia Fire Department. She's on a B platoon in Center City, and she served in stations in Northwest Philadelphia as a firefighter, lieutenant captain, and before being promoted to battalion chief. And also, she's my cousin.
That's right. That's right, family. And I'm in South Philly now. South Philly.
Okay, South Philly. And lastly, but not least, we have Lieutenant Brandon Abney. He's a 15-year veteran of the Philadelphia Fire Department. He's currently serving as lieutenant at Engine 27 in North Philly. He's served in fire stations in North, Northwest, and Rockville as a firefighter and lieutenant. These three outstanding young men and women, have done the city of Philadelphia a great service, and we should always keep them in our prayers because they do a dangerous job every day. So now I'll turn it over to those three to give us an update on fire safety and what we should be doing.
Can I go first real quick?
Go ahead.
Yeah, because you're at work, just in
Yeah,
case.
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I was going to say, basically, I'm the bottom of the barrel when it comes to captain and battalion chief, because we're at work. So I got to use those terms. But basically, I'm here right now at Engine 27, 19th and Oxford. A lot of history here at this station. Back in the 80s, a lot of the lots that are in the area right now were houses burnt down. Now they're trying to revitalize the area. That in itself is a different type of, in my opinion, fire safety. If you look back then, things were burning down, houses, wood, things of that nature. Now we have all kinds of things going on as far as like plastics and different chemicals. I said that to say this: when we're going into these buildings and things of that nature, we're exposing ourselves to different things. We chose this background, this life as the firefighters and the fire service, not knowing, what the next day, what the next hour, what the next minute holds for us. Fire safety is very important. We all know that. As of now, we are actively even more engaged in fire safety due to recent events, Philadelphia and New York City. One of the things that we pride ourselves in as far as fire prevention is these smoke detector campaigns. My cousin Chief Forrest and Captain Bowmer today were out and about in the neighborhoods, you know, just going forth with the message. But this is not just because this instance happened. We're doing this year round. It did slow down the last year and a half because of COVID. Right here, when I came in today, I have a list. Each company, each platoon is supposed to do 10 smoke detectors a week. We're out here, we're trying to, you know, make sure people are getting smoke detectors. People are knowing about fire safety. People are knowing about fire safety plans. So that's what we're doing. We're in the forefront of it, but we're trying to do this every day. It's just not a gimmick. It's not, you know, something that we just do once in a while. We're out here trying to do this every day. And, you know, Chief Forrest, Captain Bowmer, they've been on the job longer than me. They, you know, if I had any questions or anything like that, they've always, you know, broke it down to me in common terms, and no question is a dumb question when it comes to fire safety. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to see things like that happen in the past couple weeks happen again. So that was just my little spiel. I'm sure Lisa and Derek will expand on that, but I just felt to say that because, again, when you see people out, when you see us out in the streets and giving out smoke detectors, it's not a gimmick. We're doing this because we're serious about it. We're doing it because we care. We're doing this because these are our neighborhoods that we grew up in. These are our family members. These are our friends that, that anything can happen. Fire has no prejudice. So that's, that's my quick little spiel. I'm gonna sit back, I'm gonna listen, I'm gonna observe, I'm gonna answer any questions I can. But I just wanted to drop that off first.
If Brother Abney, if I could leave Chief Forrest for last, because she got a great message. I want to, if I could go, Chief. So I want to give you, so first of all, let me say, Brother Polmark, thank you for having us. I always like to, I've been president of New Sigma here in Philadelphia, of our alumni chapter. So I always want to establish the protocol. So thank you to your chapter and the Philly Kappas. We appreciate that. I want to give the panel, everyone, the guests and the listeners, some history here. Last year, just some stats that we tracked. Last year we had 36 fire deaths, and Chief Forrest and Lieutenant Abney know that 36 is spread all over Philadelphia, and our population is about 1.5 million or so. We had 2,200 people burned out of their houses last year. 2,200 people, and then 250 and 251 injuries that we had, all from last year. Speaking on this year, everyone knows that we started off the year, we have 12 fire deaths, actually 13. We found out one today. So it's a, we all talk about the murders, which is very important in the city, but there's an epidemic with fire safety also. I say that to say that the message today that we want to get out to everybody is, fire is everyone's fight. I'm sorry, Chief, I didn't mean to take that from you, but I know you're going to explain it on another way. I tell you, we love to see people smile when we go out and we're knocking on doors. Okay. And somebody asked me today, we were out at 15th and York today in North Philly. And a guy asked me, he said, are y'all only doing it in our neighborhoods? And, I was like, no, we're going everywhere. And today we want to, all these shows that myself and Chief Forrest are on, the message has to get out. And like Lieutenant Abney said, this is not a gimmick. This is for real. And unfortunately, in our business, a tragedy has to get people motivated. Unfortunately, we lost 12 people. Okay, 13. I'm sorry. And if that motivated everybody in this city to get fire smoke alarms and fire safety tips and escape plans, then I'm all right with that. You know what I mean? We grieve and we move on, but we got to get that message out. So that's my little piece today. Thank you for having me.
I guess it's my turn. They want me to bring up the rear. They're going to take everything I had to say. Nah, I'm playing.
Hey, you got more. You got more. We got more.
Nah, I'm messing around. These are my brothers in the fire service. Although I share relationship with Brandon as my cousin, and I came on with Derek Bowmer, Captain Bowmer. You know, we because of the situations that we have encountered, we are brothers and sisters. You know, we are a family, and the community is our family as well. So when you introduced me with one of my roles, and that was battalion chief in the Philadelphia Fire Department. But I have another role outside of the Philadelphia Fire Department that is connected to the Philadelphia Fire Department, and that is Club Valiants president. Club Valiants is the African American firefighters, paramedics, and EMTs. Now, Chief Bowmer said, I call him Chief because he's a chief. He's soon to be. So Chief Bowmer said something about stealing my thunder with a slogan that you're going to continuously hear me say. Now, I feel like he didn't steal my thunder. I want everyone saying this slogan and not just saying it, living it. And that is fire is everyone's fight. Now, I got to tell you, I didn't come up with the slogan, but I've adopted it and I wanted to catch on. So the United States Fire Administration came out with a campaign back in 2017. So we're talking about 5 years ago with this message. Fire is everyone's fight. And although that was 5 years ago, the message is still the same. We're here as fire service professionals, but it's only 2,700 of us in the city of 1.5 million.
Mhm.
And we can't necessarily get to everybody. So since we can't get to everybody, we need the communities to come together and practice the message of fire is everyone's fight. So you may ask, what do you mean by that? Keeping people safe, making sure that they have smoke alarms, and not just smoke alarms, making sure that they work, making sure that they test them every month. Now we're not even going to the 9 volt. Before, you had the 9 volt batteries and we would change the batteries twice a year, daylight saving time. People would still forget during daylight savings time. So now you have a 10-year detector that you can put in your home. And as long as it continues to work for 10 years, it's good to be up there for those 10 years. But how do you know that it works for 10 years if you don't try it? And so what we're doing is educating our communities. Now, we don't want to just put a smoke alarm up, because if we just put a smoke alarm up without educating you, you may not know what to do. Or if you're cooking and you set it off, you're going to take it down.
Take it
But if
down.
we tell you how important it is to make sure that if you cook, you open the windows, to not set it off, so you won't be in a habit of taking it down when it goes off. And we also teach you where to put it. You may have it in the wrong place. That's why you're setting it off at all times. We can't tell you what to do in your own homes, but we do have some smokers. If you do smoke, the preferable thing is for you to smoke outside. Smoking is a major thing in our communities too, that, start fire, and fire can lead to something serious, such as injury or death. So making sure that if you smoke, consider smoking outside. I know it's cold outside, but that could save your life. Another thing is, all right, we talked about having a smoke alarm. We talked about smoking, cooking. We talked a little bit about it, but if you're going to cook, making sure when you're cooking, you're not wearing loose clothes. When we're in our house, we like to be comfortable. So we're, going to put our comfortable clothes on. But when you're putting your comfortable clothes on, sometimes they can catch fire. So not only does your house catch fire, you can catch fire. So making sure that you're protecting yourself. And ultimately, although we want to prevent fires, they do happen. So if they do happen, know how to escape if they do happen. Now, a lot of times people feel like, fire can't happen to me, so they won't practice escape plan. But everybody went to school. I'm sure not too many people were homeschooled, and we practice getting out of school by doing those fire drills. More fires happen in homes than in schools. So why are we practicing more in school than we're practicing in our own homes where we're more likely to have a fire? So having an escape plan, making sure not only you have one, that you practice it. You have to have conversation with your family. Hey, if something happens, do you know how to get out? What's our meeting place? If you do have a fire, listen, I don't care if you sleep naked. You can't go back and get clothes. You can't go back and get your iPhone. I don't know what number y'all up to now because I'm an Android person. Whatever iPhone number you up to now. So you can't go back and get it. Your main thing is getting out and have a meeting place. So these are some of the things. Space heaters. It's cold outside. We trying to stay warm. Space heaters need space. You don't keep them close to anything that can catch fire. And more importantly, they plug directly into the wall, not an extension cord. So these are just some of the things that you can do, and we'll open it up for questions. And the last thing I want to share is this. Those 12 lives lost or any life lost cannot be in vain. So because those 12 lives are the thing that's trending now and is, have everybody's attention, Club Valiants and community partners got together for a 12-day campaign. So every first day work of our shift, which is every other day, what we do is we go out to the high risk communities and we install smoke alarm and give fire safety literature out and engage the community. So you may ask, well, how do you know where to go? Of course, we have data to tell us where to go. And what happened is people call the 311 system. And the 311 system, it takes smoke alarm requests. So that's what we're doing to honor every life lost in that tragic fire. But this is just the start of what's going on. And once again, like I said, fire is everyone's fight. So we're looking to do more stuff. We've been in North Philly, West Philly, Southwest Philly. We're going all over. We were with a bike club today, Clutch Kings, and Mu Beta Phi, which is the military fraternity, one of the military fraternities, and Timble football team. We're getting everybody on this train because it's going to continue to move, and I won't rest until every person in Philadelphia is safe and the message is out there that fire is everyone's fight, and we start practicing that. Thank you.
Yep. I could add something, Brother Abney, to what Chief Forrest said. So she mentioned a few things that we are very concerned about, but our social action piece here is really about affordable housing and how people live. My chapter here in Philadelphia of Sigma, we trying to find housing for people. And I know Brother Abney, Brother Polmark said we wouldn't talk about, the tragedy, but let's be real. There were a lot of people living in this house, and they're living in this house because there's a reason why, because they can't go anywhere else. So while they're living in these houses, we want to ensure that they're living safely at all. Again, Chief Forrest said that accidents happen, fires happen. They're going to happen no matter what. But I believe our message and part of our D9 message is to get out and educate everybody. So we're not asking you guys to come and whoever's on here to put up smoke detectors. That's our job. But heck, You can sure give out a pamphlet. You can talk about what we've given out information. We could put a one pager together for everybody and let them come out, and then you can educate people, because that's art. The smoke detector is the easy part. Or the smoke alarm is the easy part. I want to have conversation with everybody that we touch hands with. And that's the smile that you see on their face. I mean, people just don't know what they're looking for. So I go back to this affordable housing thing. You know, people can't afford, you know, the utilities, so they open the oven up, or they try everything they can to try to keep warm. We got to help them as much as we can, because this is bigger than us. This whole thing in Philadelphia, I mean, Philadelphia is one of the poorest cities in the United States, and they dealing with it. That's what we deal with. That's what we see in the streets every day. People just trying to survive. So you know, we are very fortunate, and I don't want to speak for anybody, but a lot of us are very fortunate enough to have a roof over their head. So you know, we gotta get that message out. And Chief Forrest, Lieutenant Abney, I know they out, and myself, we're out there giving out. I mean, having a conversation. And the last thing I say, conversation with results. That's what it's about. Just because we're doing 12 days of in memory of this tragedy, it doesn't stop there. We're going to continue to do this work for the citizens of Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any questions?
I have a question. Besides space heaters, what are some other dangerous appliances around the house that people kind of underestimate when it comes to fire safety?
Appliances? Well, if I can answer it, me more so not appliances, but the things you do with the appliances. So, for example, I think Chief Forrest was talking about extension cords and things like that. When you're plugging things into extension cords, sometimes we go in people's houses, they have the strip and everything's plugged into it. You're overloading that circuit, you know. We go into houses all the time and you may see 4 or 5 things on an extension cord and that's plugged in. Stuff like that. And then at nighttime when you're sleeping, it can spark, then it goes, you know, to a bigger fire or something like that. But my whole thing is that if it's not meant to be plugged in, don't plug it in. You know, we have the sockets for the wall, stuff like that. Plug them into the sockets. Space heaters, again, into extension cords, that's not good. I'd rather have those plugged into the wall. A lot of people you'll see, like I said before, you'll see these strips and they're overloaded. And that's a hazard that, you know, that's just, we can't do it. So, I mean, that's just one of the things I've noticed. And I'm even guilty of myself sometimes. So,
I mean, to piggyback on Lieutenant Abney, look, today's January 17th. Put your tree out, please. Put your Christmas tree out. We need to get rid of those. They dry out. They don't last that long. We give them 30 days, and that's being generous. Okay. I know everybody's heard in the news that a Christmas tree was the cause of this fire. We got to put those trees out. Put them out now. We go in the beginning of the Christmas season. We talk about how to take care and dispose of these trees.
Well, I guess piggybacking on that, if you have a Christmas tree, how do you maintain it during that season to make sure it's not a hazard?
So what we ask is you cut the bottom of it off, okay? And then we ask you to put it in some kind of container or your tree stand and always keep it watered, okay? That's what we ask. We ask to keep it away from outlets, because I saw the question here. Keep it away from outlets, any hot items. The lights, we know the lights don't get hot, so they're not supposed to, at least. That's what we think. But we're asking everybody just to kind of keep that in one central area and monitor it. You know, just keep on filling it up with water and things like that.
We had a question in the chat. What's considered a safe distance
3
for
feet.
items to be away from heaters?
Absolutely. Can you say that? I'm sorry, say it again, and so I can answer it.
What's considered to be a safe distance for items to be away from a space heater?
A minimum of 3 feet.
And that's going all around, right, Chief?
Yes,
Yep.
minimum.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks. First of all, thank you all for bringing this information to us. Although I do not live in Philadelphia, I live in the suburbs. But you know, fire
matter.
nonetheless does not discriminate,
Absolutely.
right? So, but you know, I stepped out for a minute, so please excuse me if you had discussed this. I heard you mention about the young, about going door to door. What about initiatives at school with the young kids? I remember when I grew up in New York in the 1970s, we had the firefighters maybe twice a year come out and talk to the kids and try to train them. Is that ongoing?
It is, yes. So
It's
we have,
still
go ahead.
Remember, our schools had challenges as well of
Correct.
not being in there.
Correct,
So,
correct.
so we do have a fire prevention unit that do go into schools to teach fire safety.
Okay.
But you know
Mhm.
how many schools there are
Right.
across the city, and the unit is very small. That's why we're saying that we want to get with the community partners just in case we don't get to that school just as of yet.
And let me be clear also, to piggyback off Chief Forrest, the fight is still going on with our fire. We haven't even mentioned our fire prevention unit, our fire code unit. Yes, the unit is small, but they have missions also that they're continuing to do. I mean, I know these it's been very hard for that unit to virtually trying to teach fire safety to these kids. I mean, they can barely get them to pay attention when they're in person. So we want to ensure that I mean they back on this march and this quest also to get into the schools. And again, like Chief Forrest said, we've had a challenge of COVID and they're virtually learning, but it's been a hard road for us to do that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you know, back in the 70s, the same thing happened, right? Where it was challenging to get into the schools. But that's when they came out with Smokey the Bear, right? And commercials like that. So, I think we have to, you guys doing a great job, but you have to attempt to attack in different angles, either commercials, and it costs money. We all know it costs money,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I mean, is there a way that grants could be written in order to get these things accomplished, in order
It's
to
happening.
put
It's
airtime
happening.
on television, Yeah.
Yep, that's
Okay, great.
happening. And some are, no offense to some of our children in this day and age, they're not watching TV. So it's been a challenge for us as a department to get out and get the attention of these children. So I mean, like Chief Forrest and Lieutenant Abney said, they will look at a pamphlet if they can, if we get it in their hands. They will have a conversation with us. And this helps us also because we are a community-based organization. Okay, forget that. When you call the fire department, we're one or the other that's going to come when you call 911 or when you call us. We're coming. Okay,
Exactly.
no questions asked. You're not put into some kind of teal or where you say, all right, we'll get there when we get there. This department and every department I know about responds to everything and anything when you call. So yes, we have our own mascot also. That information's out there. And we just need the help of the community.
Yeah, and let me piggyback off that too as well. As far as the schools, I can give you a personal synopsis of what I go through and what I do at the lieutenant level. We have schools in our local areas that we observe fire drills. Usually the school has about 10 fire drills. We observe maybe 2. When I'm there, personally, I talk to the principals. I talk to some of the teachers because I want to come back out there. And when I'm talking, especially to smaller children, I'm feeding the same things that was fed to me when I was younger. Don't play with matches. Stop, drop, and roll. Get out, stay out. Starting at an early age like that, and embedded in the children's minds, then it will help. As they go older. And again, if I have the truck outside, I use that because sometimes the children's attention spans are not there for a long amount of time. So while they're getting on the truck, I'm telling them, hey, make sure you stop, drop, and roll. Make sure you have a parent, tell them, hey, this is where you are. Remember, you don't want to play a match. I'm incorporating everything that I was taught when I was younger into these kids, and I'm making my time valuable while I'm there at the fire drill or talking to, again, an administrator about what we're doing. So that's just one of the things I do personally to try to keep, the message going and keep it in the children's mind.
Thank you.
Appreciate the time.
Yes, I have a
Brother
question.
Riley,
Okay.
Brother Malcolm Riley, you had a question?
I do. Thank you. Do you recommend, by the way, great program. Thank you. Do you recommend home fire extinguishers? And if so, how many?
So we try
You don't
not to. Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you
Chief.
got it. You got it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's funny you asked that question. So we don't recommend that because and Chief Fars, I was going to add on to what she said. We want you to get out and let us handle that business. So I know people feel more comfortable with it, but we don't promote fire extinguishers in the city of Philadelphia. First of all, you can't recharge them or anything like that. You got to get a special company, and there are companies out there that do that. And once you discharge the ones you buy from Home Depot, they're done. Okay, you can't even recharge them at all. So I would say that we don't promote that, so I wouldn't put that liability on us.
Our next question is going to come from a brother, Dave Roberts, and we're going to go through everybody that has raised their hand. So be patient.
Hey, I just have a question. A lot of people use candles for scenting, they're decorative and so forth. Can you speak to the role of candles and how we can be safer with them?
First thing is never leave them unattended. Some people may light a candle and then leave away from it. Never have it near anything that can catch fire, i.e. a curtain or something like that. So if you are going to have an open burn, making sure that you keep it away from something that could catch fire, and then also making sure that you never leave it unattended. But now we're so advanced. We have these candle crock pots.
Yes.
We don't even have to worry about an open flame. We got to get with the times. So if I could make a recommendation, I would rather you have the candle crock pot. It give off the same scent as you actually lighting the fire, lighting the actual candle and having open burn. So that's my tip of keeping you safe with candles.
Okay, next we're going to go to, the box says Roger Wilson IV.
Yes, so my son is attending. He's 10 years old. Good evening, everyone. And thank you guys so much for the information that you're sharing. I love some of the questions that I'm hearing because they're things that are outside the box that we normally don't hear. I work at Einstein Hospital, and we do a lot of community outreach there in our department. So one is a question and one is a statement. So I'm gonna say the statement first. Chief Forrest, just know that there are tons of women in my sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. We saw you on the news the other day and we were like, yes, girl power, black girl magic.
So I didn't look good with her?
You know what, Derek?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Just cut it out, okay? Because I always give you your props when you on. Okay?
I know you do. I was messing with Lisa, that's all.
Anywho's, but stop, you make me lose my thought. So Derek, you did mention that you need assistance from the community. So I'm a preschool coordinator for Philadelphia, Delaware, and Montgomery County. Clarence, who is also on here, I hope he's okay with me just throwing him out here too. We do Fresh for All, which is a pantry outreach that we do for the hospital every Tuesday. Would you be okay with us supporting you by sending us the flyers that you're saying? That way we can disseminate the information to the partner programs that we work with to try and get the word out to them. I think we're already an established community program, and I will also be reaching out to the higher ups who run the whole community service project at Einstein to see what we could do to maybe form a partnership to get that information. Is that something that you guys would be interested in?
Absolutely. So I want to be clear that, it's funny, we've been getting all of this help back and we appreciate it, but like smoke alarms are not a giveaway, okay? Because what we found out is that when you give them away, people don't put them up. So Chief Forrest came up with, and the Valiants came up with a great partnership along with the fire prevention unit, we're going to start training some of the people, our partners, to go out and be able to show you guys or your organizations how to put these smoke detectors up, but under the assistance of the fire department and Club Valiants. Hey Chief, we found out today that everybody can't put up smoke detectors. Don't we know that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We had a 95-year-old lady throw us out of the house because the Temple guys were putting up the smoke detector wrong. So I mean, but we want to ensure that that information is getting out right. But Vanessa, yes, we want to make sure that we got to get that information out, and whatever, it's all hands on deck. And Chief Forrest and Lieutenant Abney said it. It doesn't matter how it gets it. I don't care. We give you whatever you need until we run out, until you memorize this, that we need to get this message out. So yes, and yes.
I think there was a question from Mr. Anthony Hawthorne.
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's great. Fantastic. First things first, thank you for this information. It's definitely something that I was very disheartened to hear the news about the fire that happened. Given my field of work, I work in the real estate industry, dealing with asset management. And so on a day-to-day, these are things like fire alarm tests and those sorts of things are things that, as asset managers, property managers, there's guidelines and codes that should be met each periodically, every few months. And so I was just very disheartened to hear. But the question that I had rose from what one of the gentlemen mentioned about commercials and getting the word out via commercials. I was curious to know if you had anything in the works with doing advertisement on social media. I know social media is one of the number one forms of advertising today. A lot of people, especially in this day and age, the younger, crowds of people, they do, get a lot of their information on social media. I know a lot of people just in my demographics, that mid to late 20-year-old demographic group mentioned to me they discovered, this tragic occurrence through social media. So is there any plans or anything in the work to maybe utilize social media platforms to get that information out from a mass standpoint?
Good question. We do have social media, but people don't tap into it. So it's up to the community partners to share, to retweet what we already have. And Derek, do you want to give the handles out of the social media platforms? You have the handles?
I knew you was going to ask me that. I had to get it. I'm gonna have to.
If you can get it, we'll get it. We'll get it up there, and we'll get it on all of our sites.
But
but we do.
Is it Twitter? It's
Twitter.
It's
at Philly Fire. For this, I don't want to give it, but
they can do a search. No, just tell them the outlets that we're already on.
Oh, so we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, and we're on Instagram. Okay. So that stuff is all, and then there's a daily update of what the fire department does every day on this. But in addition to that, we also give a message out to everybody every day. There's something coming from the fire department on those 3 outlets every day.
Okay, that's fabulous. Brother Jerome Dean, I think you had a question.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. But you know what we gotta do? And I'm gonna put it out there on this recording because it's TikTok. This is the era.
We need that. Yeah.
If you on Facebook, they said you old.
Yes.
So we gotta get it with this TikTok thing.
Brother Dean.
All right. Good evening, everyone. And again, thank you for just making this whole presentation possible. But my question is, and it was just touched on briefly, about the different smoke detector from the 9-volt battery detector going to the 10-year smoke detector. Is that something that can be easily installed? That's my question, or just more or less changing, because that's what I have to do for my home.
Okay, so the 10-year detectors, they made them where you can't even open it up. If you
Can't
open it
even-
up, you
Done.
you break the smoke alarm. So the 9-volt batteries, that was what we knew was good for that time. So, and remember, that was even a transition before the 9-volt batteries. They had the AAA batteries, I believe.
Yep,
And
that's what it
what
was.
they were doing was, if you remember, when you needed a remote battery or something else that required
Took that out of there, right? That's right.
do is take
Yes,
it out of
with the smoke alarm.
the smoke alarm. So
Right.
that's why they moved away from AAA and went to 9-volt. Then they realized that people wasn't changing the 9-volt batteries. So we had progressed in the fire service over the years. So now, so you can't take the batteries out and you don't have to remember to change it for 10 years. That's when the 10-year batteries came about. And like I said, if you take it apart, it's done. You need a new one.
Right. And then
Okay, so it's just putting a 10-year battery in my current in.
No,
no,
no.
no,
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 it's
no,
a
it doesn't
whole
work like
new
that.
smoke
Get
detector.
rid
Oh,
of
okay,
it.
okay.
A whole new detector. So these are an ion lithium battery, okay? So you know what kind of battery it is. So again, it's a piece of machinery. And like Chief Forrest said and Lieutenant Abney said, you got to test it still, okay? Because I like I said, I would say 10, it says 10 years, but I would test it I don't know if anything works for 10 years, okay? So we ask you to test it, you know, and that's part of the education that we're giving out to everybody. Just don't feel that comfortable or that, you know, set in place that you can't get up there and test it.
Right. There is
And
no set it and
also,
forget it.
yeah, that's right. Also, what I want to add is this. If you look at the back of your smoke alarm, it has a date on it,
Yes.
a manufacturer date. If it's over 10 years old, it's no good anyway.
Right.
So get in the habit of looking at your manufacturer date to see when it was even manufactured. And if it's over that, now some of them, we don't even have to look at the manufacturer date. It's so
You know.
old. And
Right.
like we can tell by the look, like you
That's
had
right.
this
That's
for
too much.
umpteen years. So, but looking at the back of it, making sure that it's not more than 10 years old.
Brother Paulmark, if I could, one last thing.
Thank you.
For Brother Dean. And I know we've been asking questions. I know nobody brought this up, but I want to talk about the hardwired ones too. Now they do have batteries in them. That's a battery backup. And then it's hardwired. And you know, some of the newer houses are doing that. You know, it's not, you don't have to have hardwire. So, but I still would test those also because you lose power and then that battery doesn't charge very well. So we asking still, look, I've had people just have hardwire and they still ask for a 10-year one. So, you know, some of the newer houses have that and you can still put 2 of them in. Doesn't hurt.
Thank you.
for that. We're going to go to my personal friend, Clifford Cutter. You had a question?
It's just a quick question. So what are your thoughts about carbon monoxide detectors or are the newer fire detectors both automatically?
I personally do not like the carbon monoxide smoke detector combination. Rather get one and one and have them in.
Tell them why. Tell them why.
So do I. Yep.
Oh, you're gonna put the lieutenant? Yeah, here we go.
You got it, bro.
Here's the thing. Carbon monoxide, and smoke. Say for example, you got a 3-bedroom house or a 2-bedroom house. You put a carbon monoxide detector on the 2nd and 3rd floor. Usually, if carbon monoxide gets to the 2nd and 3rd floor while you're sleeping, you won't wake up.
You're done.
Okay.
Right.
We usually put carbon monoxide detectors near combustion things like your heating system in the basement, your stove, you know, because it's a little bit heavier in the air, so it's going to stay lower than oxygen. Okay, so if oxygen rises, you don't want a carbon monoxide detector on your 3rd floor. Again, by the time it gets up there, if it's filling your house, you won't wake up. Okay,
That's
so
right.
that's why I always advocate getting one smoke detector and one carbon monoxide detector, and you put it knee to hip or knee to like heart area on the floor, your 1st floor of your basement.
So remember, carbon monoxide stays low.
No.
It's colorless. It's
Mhm.
odorless. You can't
Odorless.
see it. You can't smell it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then smoke, it rises. You see it and you can smell it. That is the
Mhm.
difference between the two.
Right.
But I did hear this though. I was actually talking to a builder in Home Depot, and the fire code and the building codes are different. He said the building code requires you to get a combination one, a combination smoke and fire. But again, if that were me, you can have one, but I'll also get a separate one.
Thank you. That's good to know.
Brother Paris Sandlin, I think you had a question.
My question was answered about the carbon monoxide combo. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
And we don't give out carbon monoxide detectors for free. That's something that I've been hearing for a while. And they said that the news said the fire department, we do not give out carbon monoxide detectors.
Brother Palmer, if I could, one last
Absolutely.
thing. I want to, no, we don't discriminate. We have some hearing impaired people. I had a few people ask me about that. We even have a smoke alarm for a hearing impaired, okay? Which is a whole nother contraption, not a contraption, but a whole nother machine. So if anybody needs those, type of smoke detectors, we ask you to contact the fire department directly. You can't get that through 311. We gotta do that separately. So we even take care of those who can't hear. So.
And Brother Polmark and our panel, people, it's easy. Walk around the corner sometimes just to talk to the firefighters. I mean, they're real people. I mean, and if you have a question and it's not answered tonight, just walk around the corner and talk to one of them. Stop them on the street. Anybody but Lieutenant Abney, because when he's off duty, he's off duty.
I'm off duty.
I think he got that from his dad. I see another question in the chat. Is there a way to, I guess, proactively detect carbon monoxide on an ongoing basis before it becomes, I guess, this critical problem besides the detectors?
The detector is what it is. Yes.
Detectors.
Okay.
But Brother Polmark, we ask, again, part of the education part. If you feel as though like when you starting your heater back up for the winter time, okay, make sure you get that serviced. If you have people are burning fireplaces, make sure your flute is open. When you we have those fires too. Okay. People are doing everything they can to try to keep warm. So we want to, and we ask, look, make sure if you have a gas stove or things like that, make sure your pilots are working and everything like that, because we've had those kind of fumes or carbon monoxide poisoning also. So.
And one thing that I do want to add, if all of a sudden you start becoming sleepy in your house and you know that you never changed your routine, that could be an indicator that carbon monoxide is in your house. Like you just walked in the door and you never did, you didn't do anything real exhausting and you feel sleepy or you have a headache, that could be an indicator that carbon monoxide is in your house.
And then we ask just try to get out, open a window, crack a window.
Open the window, yes.
Mhm.
Okay. I think those are all the questions I see in the chat. I don't see any other hands raised. But I want to thank all of you for your time putting in. I know you've worked some long hours and to volunteer to do this for us, especially with the rapid pace of us putting this all together. We very much thank you and hope that we can be a good community partner to you as well. Brother Abney, do you have anything further?
Yes. If you notice, all three of them stayed on the call this time, which means somebody safe somewhere. Because if they had to leave, that means they'd be on duty, on the call.
And so, I don't want, if I got to leave, it's really bad.
It's in that order. It's that order. It's, if he has to leave, it's real bad.
It starts with me, ends with him. Yep.
Right. And I cheated tonight. I took off to make sure that I can stay on the call because the way things have been going, I've been going out a lot.
Yes,
well, we appreciate it. We appreciate it tremendously.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all. We will get your information. We will get your social media information, post that to our accounts so that people can stay informed. and we thank you. We ask that you stay safe on purpose and keep on doing the good work that you do.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
so much.
Appreciate it.
Fires, everyone.